Hey, welcome back. We were off yesterday with a snow day. You don't hear that a lot around here. But we had a really busy week last week, and with the snow coming, it was a little bit scary about, last weekend we had some bad weather, but we got the jury in and we started this trial. One of our older cases, his name was Franks, and he was charged with murder. It was sort of a drive-by. What happened in this case, and Jaquan Franks was 24. He was never accused of being the trigger puller, but Jaquan Franks used a stolen vehicle and drove another individual who we know, but we just don't have a lot of evidence, enough evidence even to arrest him on it. But we know that he drove somebody who leans out of the passenger side and shoots the victim multiple times and hit a young girl that was with the victim and caused her sight in her eye. She can't see anymore. But that was July 9th, 2022. It was one that we were really pushing to stay on the tracks. It did. And Jaquan Franks, 24 of Conway, got life imprisonment for that murder at Shady Moss Apartments here in Conway. So very good case. It took basically the entire week. The witnesses did well. They were pretty hesitant to begin with, but it was a tough case and a really good job by Nancy Livesay and Natalie. And Natalie is brand new to our office. He hadn't been here, but not quite a year. But he did an excellent job in this case. We got him from the Bronx in New York, and he did a really good job. So we got a life imprisonment on that. In South Carolina, life means life. That means for his natural life, he will, if he lives to be 100, he'll never come out again. And that was Jaquan Franks, 24 years old. This older gentleman, almost my age, Noel Centala, 54 of Conway, he pled to criminal sexual conduct, what we would generally call statutory rape. And statutory rape is built on whatever the age of the child is. If the child is under 11, it's first degree. If the child is the age of 11 but not 14, then it's second degree. And then if the child is 14 but not over 16, it's third degree. So he ends up pleading guilty to this charge. He got 15 years. That was the maximum sentence on criminal sexual conduct in the third degree. And that is a sexual touching or statutory rape that deals with a minor. Noel Centala is 54 years old. So good job there by George Henry Martin in getting that case ready for trial, and again it ends up pleading at the last minute. Jaquan Pollard, 27 of Lynchburg, Virginia, he pled guilty to burglary second for his role in a home invasion that took place at Grand Dunes. Seth Oskins and Adam Harrelson handled that for the state. Pollard was one of two co-defendants. One of the co-defendants actually shot the victim in the hand, and that co-defendant is scheduled for trial. So Pollard went ahead and pled guilty to his part in that, and he got 15 years in prison. He's also got a hold on him from Virginia, so he'll have to go serve an additional 5 years in Virginia for a separate charge after he gets through. We wrote it up as 15 years. It's actually 20 years, but of course Virginia's playing a part in that that was a home invasion out of Grand Dunes, and there was two co-defendants. Well, one of them, Jaquan Pollard, has already pled guilty and will be serving 20 years on that. The next one's Raymond Williams, 46, of Greenwood, South Carolina. This is another that was handled by Natalie Corsi. Off to a great start. Seth Oskins also helped him with that. He robs a beachwear store and gets $63 worth of cash from the registry, and that is going to cost him 10 years in prison. He'll have to serve at least 85% of that before he ever comes up for parole. But, you know, I saw a lot of comments about that's too much time. But when you go in with a gun to make, or a knife or a weapon to make a robbery, all kind of terrible things can happen. It was bad enough in this case, it did happen where there was a robbery. But you would be surprised at how quickly a robbery turns into a murder. So to stem that, we have penalties for armed robbery. And it's pretty severe penalties. And it doesn't really matter. The harm is done whether you get $63 or $600. The harm is already done to the person that's running the cash register, because for those seconds, he doesn't know if he's going to live or die. And this worked out about as well as it could, but he is, for his part in that robbery, he got 10 years. This was a big case. This was one of, at the beginning of the summer, that, you know, had everybody, including the solicitor's office, up in arms. This was a young man that came down here from North Carolina. The police actually got, his name was Amaron Glass, 20 years old. He came down here and they were in a stolen car. The police went up to investigate the stolen car. Glass and his partners jumped in the car and took off on a high-speed chase. At some point during the chase, Glass came out of the top part of the car and fired a handgun or a weapon at officers. And luckily nobody was hurt, but he did that. He was charged with attempted murder, and he received 20 years in prison. That could have carried up to 30 years, but he got 20 years, and he's only 20 years old. So he will be out. He has basically dedicated his 20s and 30s to the South Carolina Department of Corrections. And finally, we had to go a little bit over today, but Sylvester Bellamy, 57, of Conway, pleaded guilty to trafficking in cocaine. That charge earned him 10 years in prison, and he'll have to serve about 8.5 of those before he's eligible for parole. It is classified as a serious offense, but that is Sylvester Bellamy of Conway, 57, and 10 years. There was a lot more that went on last week. I'll try to catch you up to speed with that next week.